Hi everybody. I said I was going to do a budget planning video for 2017 and so here it is. I've made a few titles here just to sort of give me a prompt about some of the things that I want to say and to talk about some of the tools that I use when I do my budgeting. So without further ado, let's get started. I will pause it at different sections because I want to change out my view. This is the first time I'm doing an overhead video, and it's very precariously placed on a ledge with my Joby tripod. So if it all falls apart, I do apologise, and I am actually suffering from a chest infection at the moment as well. So my apologies if my my voice sounds a little bit off. I want to recap last year. The most watched video of mine from last year was my Dave Ramsey and YNAB video, which is basically I explained what the 7 baby steps were, and I explained how I budget on a monthly basis. Now, I'm not perfect. I went off the rails this year, and I'm going to explain why, and I'm going to explain how I'm going to get myself back on track again. Because obviously this happens to everyone. We do have unexpected expenses, or we do go wild, or we just take our foot off the pedal, and you know, we hide from our budget. I know I'm certainly guilty of that. So here we go. Let's take a look at what I use and how I budget. So I've said here the 27 budget planning, and this is what I use. These steps, the 7 baby steps by Dave Ramsey. I cannot recommend Dave Ramsey enough to all of you who are trying to get on a budget, who are trying to pay off debt, who are trying to just focus their finances in the right direction. Here are the baby steps here. Okay, the first one, and these are to be done in order. Okay. £1,000 or dollars, whatever your currency is, in an emergency fund. Now, this is to be used in the event, you know, the washing machine springs a leak, the, you know, your child breaks a window or something like that. Those things that completely out of the blue, that you cannot plan for in advance, that just happen. You know, your child spills, you know, knocks over your red wine on your white carpet or whatever. You know, some of that could be handled by an insurance claim. But generally speaking, there's either a deductible or an excess that you have to pay in order to start that claim. So these are the sorts of things that can sort of be thrown out of the blue. I'll tell you an example from me this year, and actually it was quite recently. I had 2 punctures within 2 weeks on the left-hand side of my car. First of all, it was my back rear tyre that blew in the middle of nowhere. And then the second one, so I went and got 2 new tyres, 2 new back tyres. Following week, I was going along again on this same road in the middle of nowhere, this time in the middle of rush hours. It's a busy road for people to kind of you know, go over the hills, as it were, instead of going along the motorway. And again, I got my front tyre blew completely. And thank God I had the AA, the Automobile Association, because I would have been absolutely sunk. But then I had to go and get another 2 tyres, 2 front tyres this time, because obviously I had to balance up the 2 new tyres. So that was a cost of £300 that I would not have expected to have forked out just before Christmas. This happened, I believe it was the beginning of December. And so that's an example from my perspective of how you may have to dip into your emergency fund, I should say. So that's that. Always have £1,000. I'm going to use pounds from going forward, folks, because that is my currency. Have £1,000 in an emergency fund. Once you have that, and that is the first thing that you do, okay? Everything else is set aside. Pay the minimums on your debts, but basically any additional money, get it into that £1,000 emergency fund. When you have that, and only when you have that, do you move on to baby step 2. This is probably where people spend most of their time in and out of this particular one, okay? That is where you pay off all your debt. That is your car loan, that is your credit cards, your store cards, any loans to mum and dad or whatever. The only loan that is not included in that particular debt is your house. But everything else is a debt, including the car loan. And I know everybody says, my mum included, you know, it's legitimate to have a car loan. Everybody has a car loan and everybody has a mortgage. That is true, probably for most people. Probably most people wouldn't see a car loan as necessarily a debt, or as it would be a necessity to have that debt, because people like to have cars. They like to have good cars. Good cars cost money, and you know, so they don't count it. Dave Ramsey does, and I have to as well. And I'm actually very, very close. I'm probably within one payment now of paying off my car. So I'm really happy about that. But I was last year, 2016, I had a goal to pay off all my debt. And I was exceedingly close to it. I was tracking to closing out all my debt by December. However, in August, I really needed to get central heating and to get my house rewired. And my apologies. I had to make a decision as to whether or not I wanted to go into the autumn and winter, without central heating. And I decided that I didn't want to go in. However, I didn't have all the money. I had some of the money saved up, but I didn't have all the money saved up. So I took out a loan. It was and I just want to say, all the loans that I have taken out are 0%. I am not paying interest on any of my loans that I have currently at the moment. But they are loans nonetheless. I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, as it were, or I'm robbing my future self. So I have got some debt from that. I have, and I'll go through specifically what they are when we go into a little bit more about how I'm budgeting for 2017. But I am paying off a considerable, what I would term a considerable amount of debt. In doing the central heating and the rewiring, I also decided that I would, whilst my son was on holiday, I would revamp his room. So I took out another 0% interest with a store for about £500 to get all the furniture that I needed to renovate his room. Again, was it a necessary debt? No, but I determined that it was something that I needed to do at that particular time, whilst the entire house was completely and utterly, practically unlivable in, and I didn't want my son coming back from holiday to the room that he had previously been in. So I made that determination that whilst I was getting a lot of work done, that I would finish his room and get it done. And I did it to a good standard, a very good standard. I did as much as I could myself in terms of painting, and I did get help in to, you know, put the furniture and everything together. And it is an expense that I will not have to do, have to pay out again for quite a number of years. So it was a one-off one. I added it to the accumulation of all the debt that I'd, been getting from the central heating. And I had no central heating in my house. I had no pipe work or anything, no radiators. So it was a considerable amount of work that had to be done. And I got the house rewired as well. So again, that was a decision that I took to go into debt in 2016, as opposed to getting debt-free in 2016. Now, do I have a lot of work that still needs to be done to the house? Yes, I absolutely do. I need a new kitchen and I need a new bathroom. And I need to then refloor the rest of my house. Am I going to accomplish all that in 2017? No. I am determined to pay off the current amount of debt that I have, and to also then start putting aside money so I can pay off in cash the money that I will need to get a new shower and a new kitchen. They will not be done within the next 2 years, I would suspect. However, we'll move forward with that. So pay off all your debt. Then 3 to 6 months expenses in savings. Now, this is probably one of the hardest ones to get together, because you've paid off all your debt. You've now got some money in your hand. You're not paying $400 or $500 or whatever it is a month in your actual save, in debt, in payments. you've now got all this money and you want to kind of enjoy it. I mean, I know I was looking forward to getting an extra £400 or £500 in my pocket every month. But this is when you've really got to, double down and get your savings in place. Most people do not have savings. They have maybe a little bit. I know I certainly only have a very small amount of savings, almost negligible. So I am going to have to double down for the rest of the year. I intend to pay off my debt in the first half of the year, and then I intend to double down in getting the savings done in for the rest of 2017. So I will not be renovating any part of my house in 2017 unless a miracle or a windfall happens. Okay. Invest 15% of your income into Roth IRAs or pre-tax retirement. Now, if you're in the UK, we do have to have a pension plan if we're working. And most people are paying 5% or 2%, 5%, maybe 10%. And some of that is being matched by your employer. If that's the case, and that is totaling up to 15%, mine isn't currently. Mine is about 10% of my income. And I've been doing that for the past 16, 17 years. But if you haven't got 15%, that's where you would then start to increase your preparation for retirement at that point, so that you have a net pre-tax or a gross amount of 15% coming off your wages going into some form of retirement fund. Now, that could be in the form of your ISAs, it could be in the form of regular savers, it could be in the form of a pension plan. And I would suggest that you would actually spread the risk by putting it into those different elements. Certainly from a tax advantage perspective, your ISAs would probably be your first port of call. And I think in the UK, we're now up to something around 15,000 per year that can be saved in an ISA. I know certainly at the moment with some of the regular savers that you can get up to about 5%, which is a great amount these days in savers, for regular savers. So that's money that you put away and you can't touch for a year, or you lose that potential interest. And there's things like premium bonds and other vehicles that are tax-free. You may not get an interest, but you can potentially win on the premium bonds as well. And I certainly know the more that you put in, the more that you can potentially win and get out. However, it is a safe form of savings, even if there is no interest. It's a government-led and therefore not subject to any nefarious banking activities. So that's that. So you will then start to plan that 15% of your income before tax goes in some sort of future planning. After you've done that, then there is personal development funding. Now, that can mean a myriad of different things. And again, baby step 4, which is your pre-tax retirement, baby step 5, which is your personal development, and baby step 6 can potentially be done all at the same time. I'm certainly thinking about 4, 5, and 6 being done at the same time. Because they are long-term goals. So once you've set aside your 15%, you can then start to think about how much money you want to put aside for personal development. Now, that could be also your college fund for your child, university fund for your child, a car fund for your child, or it could be something about going back to school yourself and doing what you need to do in order to actually, take some long-term goals about maybe changing a career or whatever. But again, you will decide and determine how much needs to be set aside to either fund your children for their future coming up. I know I'm certainly going to be, I'm certainly putting away a little bit at the moment for my son. It's about £100 a month, maybe 80 to £100 a month I'm putting away. I've only been doing that consistently for the last year, so it'll be about another 7 or 8 years before he actually needs it. And that will hopefully be enough there for either, funding his living expenses in the first couple of years at university, or funding a car or a down payment for a house. Then, and this is the one that everybody wants to race to, is pay off your home early. So once you have no debt, once you have extensive savings, once you are putting money away for your future self, and once you're paying a little bit aside for either your children or your own personal development, the rest of your free money can go to paying off your home early. Now, there are a number of different websites out there, such as Money Saving Expert, where they have mortgage-free wannabes, and people are really doubling down on trying to pay off their home. Don't try to do it too early. Don't do it before you have your 3 to 6 months of savings, because you need to plan for the unexpected. And that's one of the final steps I have down here. Prepare for the unexpected. By having all your expenses saved, you are prepared for those big unexpected events, such as illness, potentially a death, potentially redundancy or whatever. Those are the big unexpecteds, not the little burst tires, whatever. They can all be handled by your small emergency fund, but the big ones that you don't have an end date to, those are the ones you've really got to start thinking about as well. So, excuse me one moment. Oh, this talking is making me cough a little bit more than I had expected to. So, once you have your home paid off, that is when you are wealthy. Now, you may not be wealthy by multimillionaire standards, but you are wealthy. You have no payments, you have no debt, your house is all paid off, and you're working for fun money now. You're working to pay the electricity bill, pay your food, and everything else is fun. And this is then where Dave Ramsey says that you can really have fun. Now, building wealth means being smart about the money that you actually are earning. That probably builds upon this: invest 15% of your income into your future self. At that stage, you probably want to double up on this and start putting them into a number of different investment vehicles. Now, I'm not going to say what those are. I don't know. I'm going to have to investigate those when I get to that stage. But there are a number of investment vehicles that you could look at that would either give you a income in at retirement, or that would give you dividends, or that would give you the opportunity to increase the existing percentage that you're potentially getting on some of your savings as it is right now. But building wealth means basically doubling down on all the good skills that you have learnt to date to get to this point, and actually then preparing to live well in your retirement age. And then the final part of this is to give. You've taken the long road to get to this point. Now you can have fun, and now you can pay it forward. Now you can give something to someone else to maybe help them get on that road. I know certainly if you listen to any of Dave Ramsey's podcasts, he certainly likes to give Financial Peace University courses or books or whatever. And he pays that forward to those who are just starting on their financial debt-free journey. It could mean giving an extra tip to a waitress who's given you good customer service. It could be sponsoring a child somewhere that you know that child's going to be into, have a good education and have a good start in life. So it could be a myriad of different things. It's what is in your heart that means to give and to give back and to pay it forward. That is up to you. So that's the Dave Ramsey 7 baby steps, and that basically is the foundation for all the rest of the steps in the 2017 budget planning. So once we have, and once we understand what those baby steps are, then we have to then take our budget and do something with it. And what certainly Dave Ramsey suggests, and the tool that I use, which is YNAB, is to give every dollar a job. So some people call this, $0 budgeting, which is basically when you are paid, whether that be on a weekly, fortnightly, or monthly basis, you immediately spend all that money. Now, you don't literally spend it. What you do is you give every dollar a job. You portion out that money. Let's say, for example, you had £1,000. Maybe £500 of that is on your mortgage, £50 on electricity, £50 on gas. That leaves you with £400. You've maybe got £200 on food, and then your remaining £200 is on debt repayments. Now, that's a very, very basic way of doing that, but just to give it round numbers and so that I don't completely go off the wall with my maths, that's exactly what we do. You give every dollar a job so that once you're in your budgeting and you get paid, every single penny of that is already portioned out to where it goes. Now, how do you do that? Well, you have to prioritize your spending. Clearly, you need a roof over your head, so you need your survival, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know, the first layer is, you know, is survival. So you need shelter, you need food, you need water, and you need clothing. So that would then sort of relate into, you need to pay your mortgage. So anything that's secured on your house, any payments that are secured upon your house and, you know, such as your mortgage, that's your priority number one. Next, you need to feed yourself. You need to have enough sustenance to survive. So you have food. You need to be able to heat to yourself. So you need to have electricity or gas. So all your utility bills, your mortgage and your food are your premium priority spending categories. After that, then you need to start thinking about paying off the debt, because that is the whole reason that we're trying to budget. Now, a lot of people advocate the snowball effect, and that means basically taking the lowest debt and attacking that first. So any extra money you get, you attack the lowest one first. Just keep paying minimums on everything else. Don't worry about which one has the highest interest or whatever. The one with the lowest amount outstanding is the one you attack first. And then you go after that like a demon. When that's paid off, and let's say you're paying £50 a month off, that £50 then goes towards the minimum on the next debt that you have. So let's say, for example, you're paying £25 minimum on the next debt. You now have an additional £50 because you've paid off a debt. So you're now then throwing £75 and anything else you can find at that second debt. And then that £75 gets added to the next minimum when that's paid off, and so on and so on. And so by the end of it, depending on how many debts you have, you know, you've got maybe £200, £300 that you're spending or that you're throwing at your final debt. And that is how you snowball your debt. So prioritize your spending according to your survival and the needs to keep your you know, a roof over your head and keep you clothed and warm and fed. And then everything else should go against your debts. And then anything else after that, when you have paid off your debts, you can start thinking about where you're going to spend your money in the most appropriate way. So, for example, for me, once I've paid off all my debts, I'm then going to move into 3 to 6 months of expenses. And then after that, when I'm trying to look at these additional ones, is when I'm going to be starting putting money aside in what we call a sink fund. So it's money that you set aside that you don't spend. And then I'm going to then start looking at getting the new bathroom. And then after that, then I'll start looking at budgeting for the new kitchen. Now, it's going to take me 5 years to get to this point, but that's okay. As long as I stick to the rules, and these are the rules that we live by. We live by 7 baby steps. We give every dollar a job, and we prioritize our spending. And the easiest way to be able to do that is to use a tracking tool. Now, I use YNAB. YNAB stands for You Need a Budget. It is the best tool that I have used. Now, it does cost, I think, something like $35 a year or pounds a year. I can't remember which. So remember to put that into your budget. Okay. I budget £3 a month in order to pay off my YNAB on a yearly basis. It can be done using a desktop. It can be done using an app. And it is fantastic. Once you have all your categories for spending, and every time you spend, you use it. Now, I will confess that I am terrible at using the app version. I always like to sort of, at the end of the week, come back and use the desktop version. And I kind of do like a Sunday reconciliation. And that's what I have done here. Reconcile often. Do not hide from your budget. Once you have your budget in place, it is a living, breathing entity. Do not forsake it, okay? Because you will then start to forget about putting things in, forget about the spending, and then you'll start to hide from it because you think, oh, Lord, I have to do this big budgeting reconciliation. It's going to take me ages and whatever. And then you'll start hiding, and then you'll just, you know, you'll either leave it and not go back to it, or you'll keep starting afresh, okay? That's not what you want to do. You want to carry on and put it in your diary that every Sunday evening or whatever that is, you reconcile your budget. You make sure you have all the spendings that you've had that week accounted for. You have to look and see where you're overspending in categories, and if possible, rearrange your budget to suit, you know, what your trends are starting to be. And honestly, all this can be done in you know, you need a budget. It really is one of the best tools I have out there. Now, Dave Ramsey has his version of it, which is called I think it's called Every Dollar. Whatever you use a tool. It will help you. You can use a spreadsheet, okay? You can use a notebook. It doesn't matter what you use. You know, if you're just starting and you've got a lot of debt, get a scrap piece of paper, you know, blank piece of paper, for example, you know, a blank page like this, and just go for it. Just start putting your budget down and taking it from that point onwards. And I'm going to do a very basic budget on this video just now, and I appreciate we're up to 25 minutes as well, but there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to go through with people who are just starting, okay? And this prepare for the unexpected. This is the one. This isn't the, you know, oh, somebody's invited me out on Friday night and I wasn't expecting to go out. That's not an unexpected budgeting expense. Prepare for the unexpected is those long-term illnesses. It's the deaths in the family. It is the, you know, the redundancy or whatever. And the best way of doing that is to always pay your future self first. And that part of that comes in, you know, once you've got your emergency fund, once you've paid off all your debt, then you need to get your and it says 3 to 6 months. I would go for the 6 months of expenses. Once you have that, and you have that in an ISA, or you have that in some level of investment vehicle that, you know, you can get at if you need to, but, you know, you want to just, you know, forget about it. You want to keep putting money into it. Once you're in there, keep putting money away. Okay, because that is going to help you prepare. So in the end, you may not have 6 months, you may have 12 months of expenses. You may have 2 years of expenses set aside. So once you have your 3 to 6 months of expenses and savings, yes, that means you can go on to the next stage, but it doesn't mean to say that you can't keep adding to this. Okay, and that will be in terms of either you know, paying for your retirement, putting together your personal development fund, or indeed, you know, saving up bulk to be able to pay off your home early in bulk. So I know there's, you know, some mortgages you can only pay off, you know, 3 times in a year, or, you know, you can only pay off once in a year, or whatever that may be. You know, keep adding to those savings at all time, because you may need to prepare for the unexpected at some point. I'm going to pause this now, and then we're going to go into the actual budget. Okay, so here we have my January budget. We have a blank page. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm also going to put into my YNAB. And I don't know if you can quite see that, but this is my YNAB, okay? And anything I'm going to write down, it will be put into here as well. I just can't do the changeover from one to the other at the moment. My apologies, but I hope this will give you an idea. So I'm going to keep referring back to this, because this is going to help me with my you know, with what I'm putting down. And as I say, everything that I have here will be on mine. So the first thing I have is my mortgage, and then I have my pension. I've got a TV license, and these are basically in the order that they actually come out in my my account each month, and mine come out in a monthly basis. Okay. So those are the main categories that I have my direct debits. Okay, so those are all my monthly direct debits. So direct debits. So all of those come out without me even looking. And I need to put the amount on here as well. So my pay for January is $2,200. Now, I actually got paid a little bit more than that, but I spent some of it. And I get paid on the 26th of every month now. So I am literally doing what I have in the bank today, okay, is that amount. So I'm budgeting from this moment onwards. So I've got 2,200 in the bank, and this is what I have to do as my direct debits. So I pay £500 on that. I pay 110 on that. That's 12. That is 30. That's now 37. And I do have to phone them to get a discount because I've run out of last year's discount, and it has now stopped. So I've got to do that. My car insurance, I have a feeling I paid that off in, I've already paid that off yeah, I've done that as a yearly one, so I'm going to have to start putting some money aside for that, but I'll set that aside for a moment. And that's 48. Car park, I roughly pay around about £20 a month. It depends on how many days I do. Gaming, I spend £6. That's just a little subscription that I have. BT is roughly, again, it depends how much I am using it, but I think it's to 25. And then again, my phone, I think I got it down to about 20. These are rough ones. I haven't done a proper budget since November. So this will, once the start of the year, I'll be able to do all those properly. So let me get my calculator up on the screen so that I know what they are. So let's do 500. I'm just going to do this quickly, guys. Actually, I'll go on pause. I'll add it up and then I'll come back. Okay, so I've added that up and it came to 808. It goes out the door before I even look at it. And that leaves then 1,392. Now, there's a couple of additional ones that have gone on to there now, which is the gym at 21. And what else did I have? My gas, which is 49. So that is 70. So that would then leave 1,322. Okay, so because yes, I foolishly joined the gym again. God knows whenever I'm going to get a chance to go. Okay, so that's that. Then I have payments that are, you know, in my what I call cash envelope. So the cash are groceries, petrol, school, and clothing. A new one this year is health, which I didn't have last year, but I want to put one in there for this. And then miscellaneous. So I've got 1,322. So I am atrocious at going over my grocery amount each year. This is the one that I overspend pretty much on every month. So I am really going to try hard to get it under 150, or 250, I should say. Petrol, I tend to fill it up twice a month, which is somewhere between 80 and 100 then. School, that is anything that my son may have to pay towards. I'm going to put that away because that will also then help to pay for school trips. £50 in clothing, again, not necessarily used every month, but used to set aside going forward. £50 on health, and then £100 on any miscellaneous. So that is 5, 10, 15, 20, 2, 4, 600. Okay, so that Hi guys, unfortunately my phone cut out on me. So I have got stuck here. I got finished here doing my cash envelope system. And I put everything down. So quick recap: groceries 250, petrol 100, school 50, clothing 50, health 50, and miscellaneous, which is my sort of splurge fund, came to £600. That's where we just cut out, and that left me with 722 out of my 2,200, which I have left to budget this year. I'm just turning on the light, guys. Okay. So apologies for any shadows. What I then have, and again, I was writing all this and didn't realise I'd cut out, I then have my debt. So when I have done my direct debits, when I have done my cash envelope system, I now have my my debts. I have a credit card at 0% of 2,500, of which I pay 400 a month. That is more than obviously the minimum. That's an amount that I have determined I will have it cleared by next May, if I pay £400 a month. I then have my boiler finance. Again, it's at 0% and it's currently at 2,000 and I pay £100 a month off. And again, that will be snowballed once I've finished this big one. Now I'm slightly doing mine, I'm overpaying on this one. And in theory, I could clear this one next month by paying just the minimum on this. And then using that 400 to clear that. I might actually do that this month. And then get rid of that one. So it's the account. That's my son's renovation, 360, and I pay £47 a month. So yeah, what I might do is for 1 month, I might not pay the 400, just pay the £25 a month, clear this Econo one, and then double up and then pay £450 a month against this credit card going forward. But anyway, adding these up, it comes to 547, and that then leaves me 175. Now, again, I wrote all this out, not realizing it wasn't recording. So I have actually then put my next page, which is the 175 I have left. And now this is going against all my yearly expenses. These are expenses where I pay the charge once a year. So, for example, I have my AA, which is my, Automobile Association breakdown cover. I've got my car tax, my YNAB. So even my YNAB gets added in here. The only thing I haven't got in here, I'm going to write this down for future, is my Amazon Prime. I'm currently not budgeting that. That comes out in August. So I need to, I'm going to make a note, August. So I will make sure that that actually goes into my new budget. But when I was doing this, I had forgotten about that. So my landline, my home insurance, my car servicing, and my MOT. MOT is your yearly licensing to be able to drive the car. The car is roadworthy. Anyway, they all come to 99. So I had 175 left after paying all my debts, my groceries, and my direct debits. That leaves me 76. That 76 can then go on what I call quality of life goals. So that's basically anything that hasn't been covered previously. So that would be baby step 1. So we're going back to Dave Ramsey's. We've paid out everything that we need to pay out. And now we have 76 left. Now, I currently have 908 in my emergency fund. So I've got £82 less than what I should have. So I could, in theory, put that 76 towards that and bring that almost up to the 1,000. But what I do like to do is put some money aside for vacation, Christmas, and I do have 3 big birthdays this year. My parents and my son's turning a teenager. My parents have got big numbers this year. So I really do need to start putting some money away for this. So what I've done is I've said 25, 25, and then 26. So that would then come out as the 26, and that would then leave 0. So I now have spent this entire 2,200 as it stands today. I now have spent that, and I now have 0 left to budget. And that is what zero budgeting is. You take it right down to 0. And this was what I was going to be talking about as well. Again, apologies for the camera running out. When I have done all this, when I have that up to 1,000, when I've paid off all my debts, and the reason I am looking at baby step 3 this year, or for 2017, is I'm expecting to get a bonus in work, which will help to pay off one of these bigger ones. Not all of it, but it will help towards paying off one of these bigger ones. So with what would be left, I am expecting to pay this off in the first half of 2017. I'm expecting to be debt-free by June. Hopefully May, but definitely by June. I will then start to work on baby step 3. Baby step 3 is 3 to 6 months of expenses. Now, it is not 3 to 6 months of wages, because a lot of the wages aren't necessarily going towards expenses of things that you want. So 3 to 6 months of expenses. I've worked out roughly that I would have £1,500 of expenses. That would be the 800 less maybe some things I could get rid of, like the gaming or the gym or whatever. I could get rid of this miscellaneous and double down on just paying off any, putting money towards other things. So I have got room in this budget to squeeze it. So I would suggest that my expenses, and including these, because I do need to pay these on a yearly basis, my expenses I've estimated around about £1,500 a month. If I want to get 6 months worth of expenses, then that's going to take £9,000 to get there. So that plus my 1,000 emergency fund would mean that I would then have £10,000 of savings in the bank or under the mattress or wherever I'm going to put it, for those big unexpected emergencies, those illnesses, the redundancies, etc. That is what I'm going to really start getting towards on the second half of 2017. When I get halfway to that, I will start then putting some of it aside, just a little bit aside, to help pay for the shower as well. I don't want to break my neck on getting to this 3 to 6 months. And I know I'm breaking Dave Ramsey's rule a little bit, but I really do need to get the shower room sorted out. It's very old, it's crumbly and whatever. So, you know, if I don't put this away, it may become an expense at some point in and of itself as it breaks down. But this is going to be the second half of 2017, this goal, is to get this 9,000 saved. And so as we go through the year, I'm going to do a monthly update on how my budget is changing, what I have managed to save, what I have managed to, you know, get a better deal on, and also how I'm getting towards paying off my debt, and also getting towards getting my £1,000 established properly, and getting to my baby step 3, which is 3 to 6 months of expenses. So by the end of 2017, and the overall goal then after 2017 is that I will then start working on baby steps 4, 5 and 6, which is my 15% in pre-tax retirement and personal development fund, which I'm actually going to use as a home renovation fund, actually, and also the paying off the house early. So 2018 is going to be my year for really expanding upon my savings, getting the house done, and paying off my house early as well. So that's going to be a fun video towards the end of 2017 as to how I start to prepare for that. But I'm hoping by the time I get to that point, I will actually be on my way to getting this baby step 3 sorted out as well. So, a bit of a long-winded video, and I apologise that there was a bit of a break in the start of it as well, or sorry, the middle of it. I'm also using my Erin Condren, you can just see here on the side. I'm using my Erin Condren again to track any savings I make, and the best place for me to make savings is here. This cash envelope system, and again, Dave Ramsey is a huge proponent of it. This is the money I take out at every month in cash, in theory. I actually leave some of it in the bank, but you know, in theory, this is my cash envelope. And this is the best place I have of making real savings. You know, I don't have to spend $250 on groceries if I tighten my belt. I may not have to spend £50 on clothing or health or miscellaneous. I can rein it in a month or so. So I might only spend, you know, $500, maybe over $450 or something. So I'm going to be tracking how much of this I save on a monthly basis in my planner as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this 2017 budget planning video. And please let me know in the comments if you do use YNAB, if you use Dave Ramsey. Please let me know if there's anything you'd like me to help break down further. Maybe the 7 baby steps further. Maybe some of my budgeting. But I hope you found it useful. Please do comment and let me know what you think. And thank you so much, and Happy New Year to you all. Take care.